Get out of this house! And don't ever come back!
The night they left her to freeze, the suitcase slammed into the snow so hard it split open, clothes spilling into the white storm like pieces of a broken life. Then her father shoved her out the door. The freezing Chicago wind sliced across Evelyn Carter's face like a blade, sharp enough to sting her skin raw. Snow whipped through the air in wild circles, coating her hair, her coat, her eyelashes. Behind her, the golden lights of the Carter mansion glowed warm against the darkness, but none of that warmth belonged to her anymore. Harold Carter stood at the doorway, his broad shoulders rigid, his face burning with rage. "Get out," he roared. "You worthless nobody." His voice cracked through the storm like thunder. Inside the grand marble foyer, Diane Carter folded her arms over her silk dress, her lips pressed into a thin line of disgust. She did not step forward. She did not blink. To her, Evelyn had died the day she walked away from medical school 3 years ago. Lucas Carter leaned against the staircase, smirking. His wife, Vanessa Hale, laughed softly, her polished nails gripping her phone as she secretly recorded everything. "This is priceless," Vanessa whispered. Evelyn looked at them. Her family. Her blood. And in that moment, she realized none of them had ever truly seen her. The dining room behind them still smelled of roasted lamb and expensive wine. It was supposed to be Harold's 60th birthday dinner. Crystal glasses. Silver candles. Wealth draped across every inch of the room. But the moment Evelyn arrived, the celebration became an execution. Harold had stood first. He accused her of embarrassing the Carter name. Diane followed, cold and precise, reminding everyone how she lied to her friends about Evelyn's life because the truth was too shameful. Lucas mocked her cheap coat. Vanessa smiled and called her a cautionary tale. A failed daughter. A broken investment. A disgrace. Each word had landed like stones. Heavy. Merciless. Evelyn had stood there in silence, her hands clenched inside her sleeves, her pulse steady despite the fire burning under her ribs. Because none of them knew. Not one of them. They thought she had abandoned medicine because she was weak. They never asked why. Never cared. 3 years ago, Evelyn had left medical school to build something bigger. Something dangerous. Something brilliant. Tonight, less than 1 hour ago, she signed the acquisition papers for Metasphere. A private healthcare empire. Worth $40 million. And now, she owned more hospitals than her father owned nursing homes. But she said nothing. Not yet. Harold stepped closer, pointing into the snow. You made your choice. You walked away from this family. You don't get to crawl back now. Diane's eyes were cold glass. You are not my daughter tonight. For a second, something cracked inside her. Not anger. Not pain. Something older. The last fragile thread of hope. She had spent years thinking one day they might understand. That one day they would see her worth. But standing there in the storm, watching her mother turn away and her brother laugh, Evelyn understood. They never would. She bent down. Picked up none of her clothes. Left them buried in snow. Vanessa laughed louder. She's too proud to even take her trash. Evelyn lifted her eyes and smiled. A small smile. Sharp. Strange. It unsettled them. Lucas frowned. Harold's anger flickered into confusion. Without another word, Evelyn turned and walked into the storm. The snow swallowed her footsteps. The cold bit deeper. But with every step away from that house, she felt lighter. Stronger. Cleaner. At the end of the long driveway, under the shadow of frozen trees, a black Bentley waited. Its headlights glowed like watchful eyes. The driver stepped out and opened the door. Inside sat Victor Kane. Tailored suit. Calm face. Steel eyes. He looked at her soaked hair, her trembling hands. His jaw tightened. They threw you out? Evelyn slid into the leather seat and shut the door. Warmth wrapped around her instantly. She stared through the fogged window at the mansion disappearing behind snow. Her voice was soft. Steady. Yes. Victor exhaled slowly. He had seen billionaires collapse. He had seen empires burn. But this was personal. Evelyn reached into her purse and pulled out a thin file. Carter Senior Living. Every debt. Every weakness. Every hidden crack. She handed it to him. Victor opened it. His eyes widened. You were planning this? Evelyn looked back at the glowing house one last time. Her eyes were dry now. Cold as ice. No, she said. The Bentley engine purred. Her lips curved into something darker. But now I am. She leaned closer. By every debt Harold Carter owns. Victor's face hardened. All of it? Evelyn's voice dropped to a whisper. The house. The nursing homes. The land under them. Outside, snow kept falling, burying the footprints she left behind. Inside the Bentley, a new war was being born. And this time, Evelyn was not the daughter they threw away. She was the storm coming back for everything. The debt beneath the luxury by sunrise, the storm had buried Evelyn's footprints. But not her anger. She stood barefoot against the cold marble floor of her penthouse, staring out at the frozen Chicago skyline. The city below looked quiet, peaceful even. But inside her, something violent had awakened. Victor Kane entered carrying a thick black folder. Every secret her family had buried. Every lie. Every weakness. He laid it on the glass table. The Carters are bleeding, he said. Evelyn opened the file. Page after page. Red numbers. Fraud. Loans. Hidden transfers. Her father's empire was rotting from the inside. Carter Senior Living looked polished on the outside. Luxury facilities. Private rooms. Award-winning care. But underneath? Debt. Massive debt. Her eyes stopped on Lucas's records. She narrowed them. $7 million missing. Cryptocurrency investments. Failed. Gone. Victor nodded. Your brother gambled patient trust funds. Evelyn felt her stomach tighten. Sick children. Dying elderly. Their savings stolen for greed. Lucas had always been reckless. But this was monstrous. And Vanessa? Victor slid another page. Luxury handbags. Diamonds. European vacations. Private accounts. Nearly $3 million drained from company expense cards. Evelyn let out a slow breath. Vanessa wasn't just spoiled. She was feeding on the corpse of the company. Then came her mother. Diane. Another report. Pawn shops. Private lenders. Family jewelry. Evelyn froze at the photo. The diamond. Necklace. Her grandmother's necklace. The one Diane once said would only pass to the worthy daughter. She almost laughed. How fast worth changed when money vanished. Victor leaned forward. We can move now. Evelyn's eyes darkened. No, Victor frowned. She tapped Lucas's file. He's desperate. Desperate men sign anything. 3 days later, Lucas sat inside a private investment office downtown, sweating through his navy suit. Vanessa sat beside him, whispering poison into his ear. You need this loan. Lucas wiped his forehead. If Dad finds out, Vanessa grabbed his hand hard. If your father finds out you lost $7 million, you're dead anyway. Across the room, Victor entered. Cold. Professional. Lucas straightened. Victor placed the contract down. $8 million. Private funding. No bank audits. Fast approval. Lucas's eyes lit up. Like a starving man seeing food. What's the collateral? Victor slid the next page. Lucas read it. Then paled. The nursing homes? Victor nodded. All properties. All land. Lucas hesitated. For the first time, fear crept in. That land was everything. The family legacy. Vanessa leaned in, voice sharp as glass. Sign it. Lucas swallowed. Victor watched him like a wolf watches prey. Then Lucas signed. His hand shaking. But Victor wasn't finished. One more signature. Lucas looked down. Primary owner. Harold Carter. His blood ran cold. That's my father. Victor said nothing. Vanessa's eyes burned into him. Lucas could hear her breathing. Feel her disappointment. Her judgment. Her threat. He remembered the empty accounts. The missing money. The lies. He grabbed the pen. Forged his father's name. Just like that. The trap closed. That afternoon, snow fell lightly over Chicago as Diane Carter entered Belrose Jewelers, hidden beneath dark glasses and a wool coat. She clutched the velvet box tightly. Inside lay the diamond necklace. Her pride. Her history. Her last emergency. The appraiser opened the box. 200,000. Diane's face twisted. This necklace is worth at least 500,000. Before the appraiser could answer, a familiar voice drifted through the room. I'll pay 500. Diane turned. Her breath stopped. Evelyn. Standing in white cashmere. Sharp heels. Diamond earrings. Untouchable. Power radiated off her like heat. Diane stared, unable to process it. Evelyn stepped forward and placed her black card on the glass. Approved instantly. The necklace was placed into her hands. Evelyn looked at her mother. Calm. Cold. Beautiful. Thank you for keeping it safe. Diane's lips trembled. For the first time in years. Fear entered her eyes. And far across the city, inside the Carter mansion, Harold received a legal notice. Asset review. Debt transfer. Ownership investigation. His hands shook. Something was coming. Something he could not see. And in her penthouse, Evelyn stood by the fire, the family necklace in her hand. Victor entered. It's done. Evelyn smiled. Small. Deadly. Good. Outside, snow kept falling. But beneath the white silence, the Carter empire was already cracking. The gala of ruin, the Carter Charity Gala, glittered like a kingdom pretending it was not already burning. Crystal chandeliers dripped light over polished marble floors. Violins sang through the ballroom. Champagne flowed like gold. And beneath all that beauty, desperation. Harold Carter stood in the center of it all, smiling too hard. His tuxedo was flawless. His eyes were not. For 3 nights he had barely slept. The legal notices kept coming. Frozen accounts. Transferred debts. Unknown investors circling like sharks. He did not understand who was attacking him. But tonight had to save him. This gala was his final chance. A room full of investors. Politicians. Hospital executives. Old money. If he could secure fresh capital, maybe he could stop the bleeding. Beside him, Diane wore imitation diamonds. No one knew. Except her. And Evelyn. The memory of that jewelry store still haunted her. The way Evelyn stood there. Calm. Rich. Untouchable. It made no sense. Across the ballroom, Lucas gripped whiskey like it was medicine. His hands would not stop shaking. The forged signature. The loan. The debt. He kept telling himself it would work. That he would fix it before his father found out. Vanessa stood beside him, elegant as ever, but her smile was brittle. She could feel the walls closing in. And she hated one thing more than losing money. Losing power. She spotted Evelyn's name on the guest list. Her lips curled. She came. Lucas stiffened. What? Vanessa leaned close. She actually came. Then the ballroom doors opened. And silence fell. Evelyn Carter stepped inside. White silk. Silver heels. Diamond necklace resting against her throat. Her grandmother's necklace. The room shifted. Heads turned. Whispers spread. Harold's face drained of color. Diane's breath caught. Lucas nearly dropped his glass. She looked nothing like the girl thrown into snow. She looked like power. Like money. Like revenge. Harold marched toward her, jaw tight. You have some nerve showing up here. Evelyn smiled faintly. This is a public charity event. Diane stepped beside him, her voice sharp. You enjoy humiliating us? Evelyn's eyes settled on her fake diamonds. Her lips almost curved. No, she said. You're doing that yourselves. Vanessa's rage flared. She grabbed a glass of red wine. And in one sudden movement, she stumbled forward. The dark liquid exploded across Evelyn's white dress. Gasps. Silence. Vanessa clutched her chest dramatically. Oh God. I slipped. Her eyes gleamed. A lie wrapped in silk. Harold shook his head. Diane sneered. Lucas looked relieved. They wanted Evelyn broken. Again. But Evelyn did not move. She looked down at the stain. Then up. And smiled. That smile chilled Vanessa's blood. Before anyone could speak, the stage lights snapped on. The chairman stepped to the microphone. Tonight, he announced, we celebrate our largest donation in the history of this foundation. $10 million. Shock rippled through the room. Harold straightened instantly. 10 million. His salvation. The chairman smiled. Our anonymous donor has agreed to reveal herself. He turned toward the crowd. Please welcome Evelyn Carter. Silence. Pure. Violent. Harold froze. Diane staggered back. Lucas's glass shattered on the floor. Vanessa's face went white. Evelyn walked through them. Wine stain and all. Like a queen walking through fire. She stepped onto the stage. Took the microphone. Her voice was soft. Clear. Deadly. Legacy is a strange thing, she began. It reveals who builds, and who steals. She looked directly at Harold. Then Lucas. Then Vanessa. A giant screen behind her lit up. Financial records. Transfers. Fraud. Lucas's stolen $7 million. Vanessa's hidden luxury accounts. The forged signature. Harold's eyes widened in horror. The room erupted into whispers. Investors pulled out phones. Deals died in real time. Then Evelyn delivered the final blade. As of yesterday, I am the majority owner of Carter Senior Living. The ballroom exploded. Harold clutched his chest. His breathing stopped. Pain tore through him. He collapsed. Diane screamed. Lucas stumbled backward. Vanessa dropped to her knees. And then, the ballroom doors opened again. Police. Federal agents. Walking straight toward Lucas and Vanessa. Evelyn stood on stage, unmoving. Watching. Waiting. Because tonight was not the end. It was only the beginning of their fall. Blood is not mercy. The morning after the gala, Chicago woke beneath a gray sky heavy with snow. But inside the Carter mansion, the storm had already arrived. Harold Carter lay in a private hospital room, pale and weak, tubes snaking from his arms like reminders of mortality. The doctor had called it a minor heart attack. Stress. Shock. Fear. Harold stared at the ceiling, but his mind burned with only one thought. Evelyn. His daughter. The one he threw into the snow. The one now tearing apart everything he built. Across the city, Lucas sat in a federal interrogation room. Cold metal table. White walls. No windows. Vanessa sat in the room beside his. Separated. Alone. For the first time in years, no luxury could protect them. The agents had everything. Bank transfers. Fraud trails. Forged signatures. Lucas's hand shook so badly he could barely hold the water cup. He kept replaying the moment Evelyn stood on that stage. The moment everything collapsed. He hated her. But deeper than hate, he feared her. Next door, Vanessa broke first. She always did when survival demanded it. Her mascara ran down her cheeks as she leaned toward the agents. "I'll talk." Her voice trembled. But her eyes stayed sharp. She handed them everything. The offshore accounts. The hidden transactions. The fake invoices. And one more thing. A secret Lucas had buried. Across town, Evelyn sat in her penthouse office when Victor entered. His face was grim. "There's more." He handed her a file. Evelyn opened it. Her breath stopped. A police report from 2 years ago. The car accident. The night her brakes failed on the highway. She almost died. At the time, they called it mechanical failure. But now. Payment records. A hired mechanic. Cash. Lucas's name. Evelyn's fingers tightened around the paper. The room went silent. Not betrayal. Attempted murder. Victor watched her carefully. "You were never supposed to survive that." The words sank deep. Heavy. Poisonous. For a moment, Evelyn saw herself back there. Glass exploding. Metal crushing. Blood on snow. Alone. And suddenly her hatred sharpened into something colder. Something final. That afternoon, Diane Carter arrived at the federal building. She came to save Lucas. To protect her golden son. But what she found shattered her. Vanessa, handcuffed, was giving testimony. Diane overheard enough. Enough to hear about the accident. Enough to hear Lucas ordered it. Enough to know the truth. Her knees almost gave out. Her son. Her precious boy. Tried to kill her daughter. Her chest tightened with horror. For the first time in her life, the illusion cracked. Meanwhile, Harold vanished from the hospital. Victor found him at a downtown hotel, meeting investors in secret. Selling off the final Carter shares. Trying to survive. Trying to rebuild. Evelyn arrived before the deal closed. The boardroom fell silent when she entered. Harold stared at her, hatred and fear twisting together. "You're not taking this too." Evelyn placed the contract on the table. Already signed. Already done. She bought them all. Every share. Every vote. Every last piece. Harold's face collapsed. "You're destroying your own family." Evelyn's eyes locked onto him. "No," she said quietly. "You destroyed it long ago." That evening, snow covered the Carter estate as movers emptied the mansion. Boxes. Furniture. Memories. Gone. Diane stood outside, shaking, her breath visible in the cold. She saw Evelyn step from her car. And something inside her finally broke. She fell to her knees in the snow. Begging. "Please, have mercy." Her voice cracked. Raw. Desperate. Evelyn looked down at her mother. And remembered. Age 18. A hospital bed. Appendicitis. Pain so sharp she thought she would die. She called Diane. Crying. Begging for help with the hospital bill. And Diane said, "Figure it out yourself." Now the words returned. Cold. Perfect. Evelyn bent closer. Her voice barely above a whisper. "Your turn." Diane sobbed. Broken. Behind them, Harold exploded. With a scream, he charged at Evelyn through the snow, fist raised high. Pure rage. Pure desperation. But before he touched her, security slammed him to the ground. Face first. Hard. The snow swallowed his scream. And Evelyn stood there, untouched. Watching her empire rise, from the ruins of theirs. The House of Second Chances. 7 months later, Winter returned to Chicago. But this time Evelyn Carter was no longer standing outside in the cold. She owned the city that once tried to bury her. The federal courthouse buzzed like a living thing. Cameras flashed. Reporters shouted. Inside, Lucas Carter sat at the defense table, hollow-eyed, thinner now, his hands trembling as the judge prepared to speak. Beside him, Vanessa looked like a ghost wrapped in silk. The jury had returned. Guilty. Wire fraud. Money laundering. Conspiracy. Attempted murder. Lucas closed his eyes as the sentence came. 7 years. Vanessa got 10. Her scream tore through the courtroom. Lucas said nothing. He simply broke. The golden sun had fallen. And there was no one left to catch him. Harold Carter stood trial next. Fraud. Charity theft. Tax evasion. He was sentenced to 12 years. The mighty king of Carter senior living was led away in chains. Diane was the only one left. And she had nothing. No mansion. No jewelry. No husband. No son. Only a one-room apartment in the south side of the city. Cold walls. Leaking pipes. Silence. For the first time in her life, Diane understood what survival felt like. And it terrified her. 3 weeks later, Harold collapsed in prison. A stroke. Severe. He was rushed to the nearest hospital in critical condition. When Diane arrived, soaked by snow and shaking from panic, she froze at the building entrance. Carter Memorial Hospital. The name had changed. A silver plaque now gleamed beneath it. Owned by Evelyn Carter. Diane's legs nearly gave out. Inside the intensive care unit, Harold lay pale and broken, half his body motionless. Machines breathed for him. The man who once ruled everything could no longer lift his own hand. Evelyn stood by the window. Silent. Still. Powerful. Diane stepped in slowly, tears already falling. Her voice cracked. "You saved him." Evelyn did not turn. He was still a patient. Diane stared at her daughter. For the first time, truly seeing her. Not the girl she discarded. Not the disappointment. But the woman who survived them all. Harold's weak eyes opened. He saw Evelyn. And something inside him shattered. Tears rolled down his cheeks. Real tears. Not pride. Not rage. Regret. His lips trembled. "I was wrong." The words came broken. Barely breathing. Evelyn stared at him. This was the moment she once dreamed of. The apology. The surrender. The acknowledgement. But it felt empty now. Too late. Harold cried harder. "Please forgive me." Diane dropped to her knees beside the bed, sobbing. "We were blind." Evelyn's face stayed still. Cold. Not cruel. Just finished. She stepped closer. Looked at both of them. And spoke softly. "I spent my whole life begging for your love. Her voice was calm, but every word cut. When I was sick, you turned away. When I was broken, you laughed. When I was dying, you abandoned me. Diane could not lift her head. Harold closed his eyes. Ashamed. Evelyn exhaled. Long, slow. Then she said the words that ended everything. I don't hate you anymore. They looked up. Hope flickered. Then she killed it. But I don't need you either. She turned and walked away. No anger. No tears. Only peace. By spring, the Carter mansion reopened. Not as a home, but as the house of second chances. A free care center for abandoned elderly people. Warm beds. Medicine. Food. Dignity. Everything her family had denied others. Everything they had denied her. On opening day, Evelyn stood at the front gates as snow melted into sunlight. Children laughed in the gardens. Old women held warm tea by the windows. Life filled the halls. Victor stood beside her. You turned their empire into mercy. Evelyn looked at the building. The place where she was once thrown into the snow. Her lips softened. They threw me into winter thinking I would die. She looked up at the bright sky. But her eyes burned stronger than ever. Winter only taught me how to survive. And if you have ever been wounded by the people who were supposed to love you most, tell your story below. Because sometimes the deepest scars create the strongest souls. And if you believe karma always finds its way home, like, comment, and subscribe to Still Waters Payback for more stories of justice.